Hi everybody, I'm back with my great friend and partner in ministry, Jeffrey Cranford. We're talking about authentic living.
Authentic living. I like that. It rings true. That maybe could be a good clothing line. Authentic living.
Authentic living. Maybe there is something like that out there. Authentic walking with Christ. Authentic living out our faith. These are things that we've been talking about in various ways, and I want to talk to you now about authentic service. And I'm thinking about a small passage in the letter of James where James said that pure and undefiled religion is this: care for the widow and the orphan, and remaining unstained by the world around us. That's a very interesting passage because it says we've got to go out into the world around us, not be stained by that, but function within it, serve those with great need, and do all that authentically.
Well, here again it is. I think what James is getting at is this, of course, is that religion? Some people read that and they say, well, we always have to have a ministry to orphans and widows. I don't think that's what he's getting at. I think what he's getting at, he's given them an example of something that they could not possibly benefit from in this life.
Wow.
What possible benefit do you get with orphans? Well, you say it's self-satisfying. No, those are kingdom things. Those are eternal, beautiful things. But are you going to do any big business deals with an orphan? Are you going to do, we're going to make a lot of money and go out to orphans in their distress and widows in their distress? I mean, there's no quid pro quo possibility there when we look at that. When I think of service, authentic service, we all get mixed up, especially in the ministry of links. It's very easy to get mixed up. I'll never forget, this was 25 years ago. I was in my 20s. I was doing one of my first fellowship groups. We had a bunch of guys meeting, 40 guys in a locker room. And here's a guy, and I've really been ministering to this guy. Looked the part, looked like it was a brand new set of, Callaway or Titleist irons. But what happened? Well, he I want to speak this morning. And I said, oh, beautiful. He's finally going to share his testimony. We've been waiting for this for several years. And he got up and it was his turn. And he pulled out his briefcase, pulled out this thing, passed out these papers, and was trying to sell him a big piece of land that he owned. And I thought, oh my God. And we kind of had to shut him down. It was difficult. And you never know what's on the inside. I thought he was going to authentically serve our little community through his testimony. But what he was there for ultimately, and when I shut him down on that, he really didn't come back anymore. And we run into that all the time. I've been burned, people have been burnt. Maybe you've been in church. You said, I don't like church because someone tried to sell me a multi-level marketing something or other, and I get hit up at church because walls come down. Authentic service. Jesus is very clear. The kingdom is so radically different than the world, it's unbelievable. In the world, what do we want? We want to be served. We work our whole life to be served. We would love to have a butler. We would love to have a chauffeur. We would love to have all these service things. Not necessarily anything wrong with that, but we work diligently towards it. In the kingdom, it flips it upside down. The greatest among you will not be those who are being served, but those who are what? The servants. So they'll be the greatest among you. So in the kingdom, it's not that we've put parameters around, we can only work with prisoners or orphans or widows. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with what is the Lord telling us to do, calling us to do. Authenticity of service is a direction that we take in perfect complicity with the Holy Spirit so that we can go into a hurting world and do exactly what He's called us to do even when it doesn't make any sense. We serve rather than to be served. We're in it for the others. Of course, we find ourselves at times mixed bags. It's one of our greatest cautions in the demographic that we deal with is how do we go to kings, to wealthy people, many of you, if you're a member of a club or play golf or even live in the West in this time.
Yeah.
How do we go to you and authentically serve you and not have an ulterior motive, oh, that guy can give to our ministry. And this is the last thing, Paul really was concerned. He said, look, if a wealthy guy comes into your midst and you say, oh, come over here and have this wonderful seat of honor, and then a poor man, he says, you sit over there. He said, you've already become a judge with bad motives. And we could restate that. You've already become inauthentic in your service to humanity because you are back to quid pro quo. You are giving honor where honor is not necessarily due here just because a guy has a lot of money. So authenticity of service is huge. And again, we get this strains of authenticity running throughout not only what Jesus said, but much of what the rest of the New Testament encompasses.
Wow. You know, each of these topics, I like we said in the beginning, it's this self-analysis. Am I over here or I'm over there? And every one of these we talk about, I just feel like, boy, it's time for some assessment.
It is. And sometimes you find, here's the beauty. Sometimes you self-assess and you find some things that aren't so beautiful and aren't so authentic in your life. I do it every day. I mean, it hurts when I find inauthenticity in my own heart. Here's the beauty of it. God's not done. He's not sold you down the river. 1 John 1:8 and 1:9. Confess your sin before the Lord. And He is faithful, even when you're not, to both convict us, but also to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. That's the beauty of it. So the process of salvation is continually going to the Lord and asking Him, redirect. Just don't get too far off the path. Stay in a community. Stay in your links group. Stay open. Stay transparent. Don't be a person that's unwilling to confess, hey, I'm not much of a servant. I want to be served more than be a servant. All those things. That's true authentic community, by the way, which we're not necessarily going to talk about, but that's authentic community.
Wow. Well, let's talk about it.
We could.
All right. We'll do that next time. Thanks, Jeff.